You walk into the room, and within 4 seconds, the verdict has already been passed. You haven't spoken a single word, yet the judgment is absolute. You feel it immediately, that suffocating air of subtle dismissal. Eyes glance over you and drift away. The conversation continues, but you are merely an observer in a space you intended to command. You adjust your posture, force an unnatural smile, and search for an entry point into the dynamic. But every movement betrays your desperation. You feel the cold sweat at the back of your neck. You feel the silent hierarchy cementing itself around you, leaving you on the bottom rung. And now you sit there, dissecting every micro-expression, tortured by the realization that you have been categorized, evaluated, and rendered invisible before you even opened your mouth. Most people tell you to just be yourself or smile more. That is passive cope. The brutal truth is that human beings are not noble, objective evaluators of character. We are predatory creatures bound by primal programming, constantly scanning every environment to answer two ancestral questions. Are you prey, or are you a threat? You walked in looking like prey. Here is what they refuse to tell you. The human brain makes up its mind about your social status, competence, and dangerousness in less time than it takes to draw a single breath. Neuroscience confirms that long before your conscious mind registers an interaction, the amygdala has processed sensory data and rendered a nonverbal verdict. This is evolutionary psychology in its purest form. In the ancestral environment, misjudging an outsider's intent or strength meant death. Thus, the human mind developed hyper-efficient short circuits, cognitive biases designed to categorize you instantly. When you fail the first impression, you are not failing a social test. You are triggering an evolutionary mechanism that marks you as subordinate. As Friedrich Nietzsche observed in Beyond Good and Evil, society is built upon an order of rank, an unspoken, permanent hierarchy driven by the will to power. While the masses foolishly believe that social status is earned through polite conversation and credentials, the apex operators understand that power is negotiated non-verbally in the opening seconds. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this fundamental law. Men in general judge more by the sense of sight than by the sense of touch, because everyone can see, but few can test by feeling. The herd sees the illusion you present and responds accordingly. You have been playing by the rules of polite society, while the room is operating on the laws of the jungle. To master the architecture of human perception, you must abandon modern consensus ethics and employ tactical psychology. Here are 7 strategic laws to seize control of any room within seconds. Principle 1. The anchoring silence. The average man fears silence. When he enters a room, his insecurity compels him to fill the void with meaningless chatter, nervous laughter, and eager over-explanations. He sublets his power to avoid a moment of awkwardness. This is a critical strategic error. Behavioral economics speaks of the anchoring effect, the cognitive bias where the first piece of information offered sets the baseline for all subsequent perception. When you enter a room and speak immediately, you anchor yourself as reactive, eager to please, and submissive. Consider this scenario. You enter a boardroom or a social gathering. While others immediately start small talk to soothe their anxiety, you walk in, make deliberate eye contact, and remain completely silent for 3 full seconds before speaking. Starting tomorrow, implement the anchoring silence. When you enter a space or are introduced to someone, do not speak immediately. Pause. Look at them. Let the silence hang in the air for a beat longer than comfortable. Force them to fill the void, or deliver your first words slowly and at a lower register. The dark truth is that noise is the armor of the weak, while silence is the territory of the dangerous. The person who can comfortably tolerate silence immediately controls the emotional thermostat of the room. Principle 2. The predator's gaze. When weak individuals enter an unfamiliar environment, their eyes dart rapidly across the space. They check exit routes, scan faces for approval, and constantly look down at their phones. This is submissive scanning, a behavior wired into prey animals watching for predators. Social psychology demonstrates that high-status individuals exhibit what is known as visual dominance. They move their eyes slowly, hold eye contact deliberately, and look away only on their own terms. When a low-status person meets the gaze of an authority figure, they break eye contact downward, a universal sign of surrender. Imagine walking up to a group. As you approach, the dominant person looks you in the eye. If you break eye contact and look down, you have forfeited your standing before a word is spoken. Tomorrow, run this experiment. When you make eye contact with anyone, a colleague, a waiter, an executive, do not look away first. If you must break contact, look horizontally to the side, as if distracted by a thought, never down toward the floor. Maintain a neutral, unblinking gaze for 2 seconds longer than usual. The dark truth is that eye contact is a nonverbal battle of wills. When you refuse to break your gaze, you signal to their subconscious mind that you possess a shadow, a capacity for conflict that they do not wish to test. Principle 3. Spatial annexation. The average person shrinks themselves. They pull their arms close to their body, cross their legs tightly, and occupy as little physical real estate as possible. They act like guests in a world they ought to own. In evolutionary terms, dominant organisms engage in spatial annexation. They expand their physical footprint, relaxing their limbs and occupying space without hesitation or apology. Carl Jung spoke extensively about the shadow, the repressed, primal side of human nature. The shadow does not ask for permission to exist. It claims space instinctively. When you walk into a meeting room, observe where people sit. The submissive slide into the corners, pull their chairs in close, and keep their belongings neatly folded on their laps. The dominant place their arms over adjacent chairs, spread their materials across the table, and lean back comfortably. Practice spatial annexation. When you sit down, take up space deliberately. Place your arm on the back of the empty chair next to you. Rest your hands on the table shoulder-width apart. Lean back, drop your shoulders, and slow down every physical movement by 30%. The dark truth is that humans respect physical presence far more than moral virtue. If you act as though you own the physical space, human psychology will automatically assume you have earned the right to control it. Principle 4. The void response. When most people receive a compliment, a joke, or a slight, they react instantaneously. They nod rapidly, offer high-pitched affirmation, or rush to defend themselves. This high reactivity exposes a fragile ego that is dependent on external validation. In network theory and game theory, power belongs to the node that requires the least input to maintain its state. When you react instantly to external stimuli, you signal that you are easily manipulated, easily perturbed, and utterly predictable. When someone attempts to test you with a passive-aggressive comment disguised as a joke, what happens? Most people laugh nervously, trying to diffuse the tension. By doing so, they validate the insult and accept the lower rank. Apply the void response. When someone makes a questionable comment or attempts to set the frame of the conversation, do not react. Give them an unblinking, neutral look for 2 full seconds. Do not smile. Do not scowl. Let your face remain a total blank, a void. Then, calmly redirect the topic, or simply ask, "Why did you say that?" The dark truth is that human beings fear the unknown above all else. When you refuse to give people the emotional reaction they expect, they suffer from cognitive dissonance and immediately begin searching for ways to appease you. Principle 5. The frame theft. Every human interaction is a battle between competing frames of reality. The frame is the underlying context that dictates who is evaluating whom. The weak operate inside frames built by others. The powerful construct the frame and force others to step into it. Robert Cialdini's research on social influence demonstrates that people instinctively defer to those who establish an authoritative frame. If someone asks you, "Why should we hire you?" or "Why should I go out with you?" they're setting an evaluative frame where they're the judge and you're the candidate begging for approval. When faced with a question designed to put you on trial, the average person begins listing their credentials, digging themselves into a defensive hole. Tomorrow, Practice frame theft. Never answer a defensive question on the terms it was asked. Reframe it immediately. If asked, "Why should we pick you?" Respond with, "The real question is whether our standards align for a long-term partnership." You have instantly inverted the power dynamic, transforming yourself from the applicant to the evaluator. The dark truth is that reality in a room is subjective. Whoever controls the frame dictates what is valuable, what is foolish, and who holds the power. Principle 6, tactical detachment. The desperate man radiates energy that pushes people away. He leans forward too far, speaks too quickly, and lingers too long, subtly begging for acceptance. Human beings possess an innate evolutionary defense against desperate individuals, categorizing them as low-value parasites. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations about the absolute necessity of emotional detachment. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Tactical detachment is the practice of being physically present while remaining emotionally unattached to the outcome of the interaction. When you walk into a room wanting something, validation, a deal, a phone number, a sign of respect, your body language betrays your neediness. People smell it instantly, and their defenses go up. Adopt the mindset of the visitor. Walk into every room with the internal conviction that you are entirely complete without anything that room has to offer. Speak casually, keep your body relaxed, and be willing to walk away at any second. If the interaction goes well, fine. If it fails, fine. The dark truth is that people are obsessively drawn to those who do not need them. The moment you prove that you are completely willing to walk away without a backward glance, you become the most valuable entity in the room. Principle 7, the status inversion. Most people enter a social hierarchy by looking up at those at the top and trying to flatter them. They laugh at the boss's unfunny jokes, agree with the dominant personality's opinions, and shower the room's center of attention with eager praise. This behavior instantly marks you as a courtier, a sycophant, an extra in someone else's movie. Machiavelli warned that flatterers fill the courts because men are so easily deceived by their own self-love, but the wise ruler sees through them and despises them for their spinelessness. When you enter a room with an established social star, do not join the circle of praise. Instead, execute a status inversion. Speak to the most powerful person in the room with the precise tone, casualness, and mild indifference you would use with a younger sibling or a close friend. When the room's dominant figure speaks, listen politely, but do not nod along like a pendulum. Offer a slight, thoughtful tilt of the head or a quiet, amused smirk. Treat their pronouncements not as gospel, but as merely one opinion among many. The dark truth is that high-status individuals are surrounded by people who agree with them out of fear. When you treat them with polite, calm indifference, you signal that your status is equal to or higher than theirs. When you begin implementing these principles, the shifts will be swift and disorienting. At first, it will feel intensely uncomfortable. Every evolutionary impulse inside you will scream at you to smile nervously, to fill the silence, to shrink your posture, to apologize for existing. That discomfort is not failure. It is the death of your submissive programming. People around you will notice the shift immediately. Some will react with subtle hostility or attempt to push you back into your old, predictable role. Do not break frame. That resistance is proof that the dynamics are shifting. You will watch as conversations slow down to match your tempo, as eyes linger on you waiting for approval, and as rooms adjust to your presence. You will stop being a background element in other people's lives. You will become the gravity that bends the space around you. Most who listen to this will change nothing. Tomorrow morning, they will wake up, step into the world, and immediately default back to their passive, submissive habits. They will smile when insulted, look down when looked at, and speak too quickly to avoid being ignored. They will remain ghosts in their own lives. But you are not them. You are here because you recognize the hidden mechanisms of power that govern human interaction. If you are ready to stop operating as prey, subscribe to this channel and join our collective. However, Understand this. The strategies discussed here are only the surface layer. The YouTube algorithm strictly censors the most potent, uncompromising applications of dark psychology and strategic power dynamics. Those advanced frameworks are kept strictly behind the join button. Click the join button below to unlock our exclusive and censored vault of strategic training. Most will refuse to take that step. They prefer the comfort of ignorance. Leave them behind.